Hi, and thanks for joining us. My name is Sean Donahue, and I am a Microsoft licensing expert here at Miro Consulting. We're going to begin the presentation in just about 1 minute. We're going to give everybody a chance to log in, get their headphones on, get the sound coming out of the right place. You know how it is. You have an important meeting, and that's when Zoom or Teams or whatever it is decides now is the perfect time to update, to require a restart, go through that whole thing, and the earphones don't want to work. We've all been there. It's one of those modern life things. So again, we're just going to give everybody a minute to log in, give them a chance to get settled, and we'll begin in a moment. All right, let's begin. So my name is Sean Donahue. I'm a Microsoft licensing expert here at Miro Consulting. We're doing the 8 major changes to Microsoft pricing terms and conditions for 2025. The great news here is you still have time to avoid some of these, and we'll tell you at the end on how you can avoid some of these price increases. We're going to talk about the different contracts, and we're going to talk about changes in terms and a few other things related. So real quick, just explain who we are so you can understand where you're getting the information. We're Miro Consulting. We're a global provider of software asset management and subscription management services for Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon Web Services, and Salesforce. We specialize in license management, audit advisory, negotiation tactics, support management, and of course, cloud services. Essentially, our ROI is we help you get the best. We help you get the best ROI on your software license and subscription investments, stay in compliance, and negotiate successful contracts and audit settlements. And the best thing about working with Miro is that we have a price guarantee. And what our price guarantee means is that the amount of money we save you is going to be more than our fees. Oftentimes, it's substantially more. Sometimes it could be 10 to 100 times as much. We've saved our clients millions of dollars on their software contracts, both on-premise and the cloud, and we'd love to do it for you too. So let's talk about some of the major changes here. So essentially, it's all the volume licensing, the enterprise agreement type customers. They are the types that are seeing these changes. It's less so for the personal market, though. If you are here because you had some questions about maybe Microsoft can pay for it at home, we've got some great tricks for you for that too. So a lot of this is around splitting products out, combining products, repackaging products, and of course, what every company in the world seems to be pushing right now, which is AI, and Microsoft is absolutely no exception. They want everyone to use Copilot, and they introduced it to paid option back in December, and they're going to be making changes to it soon, but we can explain to you on how you can actually access it for free. So essentially understanding how what you have now and how it's going to renew is going to be very important for this year, because it's going to be, you don't want to buy anything you don't need, you don't want, especially with all these new packages and repackaged products. So some of the highlights here, Power BI Pro. So if you're a Power BI Pro customer, you are going from $10 to $14 per user per month, which is a substantial increase in terms of percentages. If you're going from Power BI Premium, if you're a Power BI Premium user, it's a little less bad. You're going from $20 to $24 per month. And these dates are effective April 1st. And you're going to hear me say this a couple of times. You still have time. If you are one of these customers, you can call Microsoft up and you can ask for an early renewal. And if you can sign your early renewal before April 1st, you will be able to avoid these increased charges for at least another year. Like I mentioned before, Copilot and Copilot Chat. So the gist of this is Microsoft is essentially slipping in Copilot subscriptions to absolutely everything. It's an add-on item, but your rep may or may not actually even tell you it's in there. They may tell you you're already paying for it, but the fact is that many organizations were not paying for Copilot, and Microsoft is trying to change that. And we have heard from many customers that it's being slipped into contracts, slipped into renewals, and they're not highlighting it. So make sure you're aware of that. If that's not something you want, if you have your own large language model, or you just don't want to try it, or you have security concerns with it, Keep in mind that it does come with SharePoint Advanced Management, which essentially can firewall off some of your data so that the AI doesn't go rifling through it when looking to give you an answer. So your security concerns may be met by that, they may not. But you also can get a hold of Copilot for free via something called Copilot Chat. And that's good for basic stuff, but Microsoft has the ability to start charging you if you upgrade out of it. Currently, there's a 15% off, but you do have to have a 10-seat minimum. And this discount is only available on the annual commitment plans. And again, you're going to see that come up a bunch of times too. So there's also some discounts to be had on Business Premium. You can get a 15% discount if you are a new subscriber. And if you act before April 1st, you will also avoid the 5% uptick in pricing, which effectively will give you a 20% discount. So that's something to consider. And usually this is for people upgrading from Business Standard to Business Premium because you need some extra security features. There are also promotions with Office 365 E3 E5. This is typically for organizations who used to be under 300 people and now they need 300 or more seats. And again, this is you have to get this in sooner than later. And this is running till June, but keep in mind you might see smaller adoption rates if you are a small to medium-sized business. So one thing that we've seen going around is everybody's talking about the new Teams phone standard price increase. And that's going from 8 to 10, while Teams phone frontline is going to 4 to 5. What most people have missed, though, is this is for standalone subscriptions of these products. It is not across the board. If you are already on something like Office 365 or Microsoft 365 E5, there's no new price changes. So if you heard about those, you're concerned about those, a lot of our customers, if not most, are going to be on one of those packages. So they are not going to end up paying it. So again, the the phone pricing is only changing if you have it standalone. I don't know how many of you are out there, but you have the higher level suite, don't worry about it. And there's a general increase of 5%, which is pretty good. Microsoft's being, I don't call them generous, but when most other providers are going up 9, 10, even 15%, Microsoft's only going up 5 for most countries. And I'll get into that in a minute. So this affects the major products like 365, Office 365, Dynamics 365, you get it, they're all 365. Dynamics, Enterprise Mobility, Security, Windows, Power Platform, all of them are going up 5%. And I hit the button the wrong way. There we go. Now, if you are a new commerce experience customer, that is something that Microsoft has been introducing. It's going to replace the CSP program, and they're just trying to make it more streamlined for you. So that's going to be starting on April 1st. You will also see a 5% increase. However, you can avoid this 5% increase if you prepay your annual costs. Some organizations may not have the cash flow for this or not have the commitment, or it's just not something they're interested in. But if you want to avoid that 5%, if you prepay Microsoft, and that's something you can do, you can avoid the increase entirely. And that could be a lot of money for some of the larger enterprise customers out there. You can also avoid this increase if you effectively manage to early renew before April 1st. And then it's only going to give you a 1-year reprieve, but hey, that's better than nothing. So I just mentioned earlier, some places are changing more. So there's an additional 5 to 6% increase in the UK, and there's an additional 12% increase in Brazil. The reason for this is because of currency. So effectively, this is just Microsoft looking at the dollar, looking how the currency exchange rate is. So for currencies that have weakened against the dollar, these are the new pricing if you are a customer and you are renewing out of one of these two markets. So like I mentioned before, there are a couple of ways to exempt yourself from some of these price increases. The most effective one is renew your contract before April 1st. If you were thinking of this as an option, I suggest you do it. You call your rep right away because many people are going to try to do this. They're going to get really bogged down as we get closer to April 1st. So you've got a better chance of getting this done. I'm sure some of you are saying, I'm crazy if I think that you can sit in my presentation now and renew by April 1st, but some organizations can. Some organizations, it's not that early of renewal. Other organizations can just move fast on these types of things. So not for everyone, of course, but if you are a type of organization who can do this, it's a great way to avoid the costs. And as we mentioned, the Microsoft Copilot licensing, that is the way that's being priced in licensing is changing. And that is effectively is approximately 5% higher if you are paying monthly than if you do the annual billing option. So here's some of the big news. The enterprise agreement at Microsoft seems to be dead. I'm not going to say it's completely dead. I'm not going to say that every customer is not going to get it. But for most, if not all, cloud agreement customers, cloud EAs, effectively, Microsoft is doing away with the concept of the EA. They are now going to have something called the Microsoft Customer Agreement for Enterprise. Now, you may say to yourself, boy, does that sound like exactly the same thing? And it may end up being for your organization. But keep in mind that some terms and conditions will change with this. We don't know all of them. We're going to go through some of the ones we do know, but it has a new name. This could be just Microsoft branding EAs with their own name on it, because a lot of organizations have EA, enterprise agreements. So that is what the new one. So if you see this new acronym, MCA-E, that's what it stands for, Microsoft Customer Agreement for Enterprise. And effectively, they're trying to consolidate all of their different pricing options. So they have buy online, they had CSP, they of course had EAs, and now they're trying to put them all together under this one new framework so that there's one set of pricing. So this is good news in the sense that you don't have to rifle through many different ways to buy Microsoft looking for the cheapest version. I know a lot of you guys out there really enjoy doing that and getting a good deal, but Microsoft is consolidating there so that it's a little easier to find the one pricing that would apply to what you're looking to do. And this is also going to, we're also going to have some new options apparently for SQL Server, Windows Server, System Center, and they're all going to change slightly on their subscriptions. We don't have all the information from Microsoft yet, but we'll update you as it comes out. And again, you can avoid if you prepay annually. The big news here on the SQL Server effectively is now you can get pricing without the rules of a server cloud enrollment. I'm not going to get into the deep dive of the details here. It just gives you a few more options to use SQL without needing the higher level agreement with Microsoft. So if you have a current EA or some sort of Microsoft suite of 365 or Office 365, and it has Teams, what's happening is Teams is being broken out as a separate SKU, and it is basically because of some governmental rule changes. So effectively, what the big part of this here is you have a Microsoft partner, they can no longer purchase these end of sale SKUs under the CSP agreement. They can't make edits to the terms. Effectively, Microsoft is trying to get you to buy direct. So if you are in one of these situations, we would love to speak with you. We can help you avoid these charges, as well as take a look at your current licensing, help you understand what you're using, what you're not using, what maybe you could get a better deal on. Because one of the worst ways to waste money on licensing and subscriptions is to pay for stuff you're not actually using. And we can help you figure that out. So keep in mind, some of these changes may cause you some issues. For example, government requirements. If you have government requirements that say your data can only be housed in a certain location, and you are going from on-premise to a cloud environment, or from one cloud environment to another, you may have to look at where your country or your country's regulators allow you to store your data. And you should also keep in mind that a lot of these products that are being bundled, they can actually be purchased separately. You don't actually need to buy the bundled product if you don't need everything. You can always ask, see what kind of deal you can get on your own personal combination of products, or you could just, of course, buy them a la carte off the shelf, just getting stuff that you need. So there are some promotions you should be aware of. You can get a 15% discount on Microsoft 365 E5, but that's only up to 2,400 subscriptions licenses for new customers to that Microsoft product. You can get that up until June the 30th, which is the end of their fiscal year. You can also get a 50% discount on compliance if you get that with Copilot, and that's actually valid all the way up till February 1st of 2026. So like I mentioned earlier, they may suggest Copilot. They may ask you if you want it. They may simply slip into your contract a line item that purchases Copilot for everyone at your organization. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye out for that. And a lot of our customers, if it's not called out. So you may look at it and think you already had it, but you may not have. In fact, you probably did. And if you are looking to, again, save on your licenses, we recently helped a large retail company save about $150 million by changing their renewal options. That was a big win for them. We'd love it to do it for you too. And I mentioned this, there's going to be new terms, and effectively, true ups are going to change. So you will be, the whole concept of true ups is kind of going away, but everybody knows about true ups. I'm not going to get into them. But what I want to mention is true downs. If you didn't know, there's such a thing called a true down. And if you would like to take advantage of that and do the opposite and tell Microsoft that you want to not use things anymore, let us know. We are great at getting that to happen for you. So again, how are you going to avoid these price increases? Well, switch to an annual prepaid plan. For many of these new 5% increases, you can avoid them by effectively just paying upfront. If you can, renew before April 1st, and you can also lock in at least one more year of the previous pricing. You can also get discounts if you sign a multi-year contract for something like 3 years. Absolutely optimize your licenses, especially if you are moving from one cloud to another, or if you're moving from on-premise. One of the big things we always say to our clients is get the licensing right first and move it second. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to take an issue, or you don't want to take wasted spend and replicate it in the cloud, because that's just going to be more. It's going to be more money to when you move it. So absolutely take a look. Have an expert like Miro come in and make sure you're using the most optimal licenses you can for the cost. You can downgrade to a classic plan. So here's one of my big secrets for you. If you are forced into a plan that includes Copilot, you can, and a lot of times users are pushed into this, and there's no opt-out button. You can't back out, you can't opt out. So what you can do is go through, say, okay, fine, we'll take the Copilot, and then you call Microsoft. And once you call them, you say to them, and you can only do this via the phone, their call center, tell them that you want to downgrade. You want to downgrade to what is called a classic plan. And that effectively will be Microsoft without AI. You won't get to use the AI tools, of course, but if you don't like it, don't want it, that is my secret trick for you to get out of it. It's about the only way we know. And again, all these things have to be done before April 1st, because that is when the new pricing takes effect. So again, my final takeaways here. Thank you for staying with me this time. Microsoft's continuing to push towards a cloud-oriented licensing model. They want to be a subscription service. They want to get away from on-premise. Not everybody's going to do that. Nobody, and you don't have to do that. For a lot of our customers, they have found that the cloud is not right, or not right for everything. That's one of the biggest takeaways I can give you. Is many of our clients have found, hey, some things work great in the cloud. Other things, not so much. Other things you don't want in the cloud for various reasons, including security, including access, all kinds of things, including downtime. We've seen multiple clouds go out for what could be a critical amount of time for your organization. And a lot of times, if a cloud goes out, it takes out everybody, but the people who are on premise. And again, completely review your contracts. There's a lot of changes this year, so you should definitely go through the exercise of reading them carefully. Don't rubber stamp this one, because everything's changing this year. And if you don't go through correctly, or if you refuse Microsoft's wonderful offers, keep in mind they may audit you. Just because of people think cloud might be eating into audits, it's not true. Microsoft is still auditing its clients all the time. And a lot of times they're auditing the clients that haven't bought anything new in a while. And they, of course, use these audits to leverage the client to buy new things. If this happens to you, if you get a Microsoft sales rep start mentioning audits to you, or you receive the letter in the mail, and that's how it will come. It will come as a paper letter. contact us immediately, and we can help get you on the right track to defend yourself from that audit. Microsoft's year end is June. So this is that last quarter, or we're coming up on that last quarter. That's, of course, when you get the best deals with all of your software vendors. So keep that in mind. But again, that April 1st date may be a lot more relevant this year in particular. So like I said, publishers love that easy money of an audit. Beware, don't let it happen to you. And if it does start to happen to you, call the experts. Because keep in mind, the auditors who work for Microsoft, they do this all day, every day. They know every trick. They know everything to look for. They know every question to ask you to get you to answer the wrong thing. And I won't say incriminate yourself, but it's effectively validate their assumptions. But they also make a lot of mistakes. So getting somebody on your team who also does this day in, day out is the way to go. Think of it as like, you would never go to a criminal trial without someone to defend you. Well, that's what we do when it comes to a software audit. We can be the person who defends you. And like I said, we frequently get these audit penalties reduced in 90%. So keep track of everything. So if you want some help with this in general, and you're saying, oh God, my Microsoft licensing is just too big of a headache for me to manage right now, we do have a service where we can basically do the Microsoft licensing managed services for you. We will make sure everything gets renewed, all the support gets paid, all the servers, the license, everything is right sized. We'll take that whole thing off of your hands, and you never have to worry about it again, as long as we're doing it for you. And just be prepared, even on your own. If you're just gonna, keep going the way you're going, be prepared for an audit. Understand what your position is. Understand what you've got, what you're using, what you're entitled to use. So that's everything. I'll take some questions if we have any. In the meantime, I can tell you while I wait to see if any questions come in. You'll be getting an invite from me for next week for a Java webinar, and we're going to tell you all about the changes to Java and all the new pricing and what kind of agreements you can get for that. And I don't believe I see any questions coming in. I do not. So thank you very much. That concludes today's webinar. If you want to reach out to us and talk to us about your Microsoft licensing situation, we're on the web at miroconsulting.com. You can also email us at info@miroconsulting.com or call 732-738-8511. This concludes the webinar. Thank you very much and have a great day.